What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, joined by my brother Big Game James, and it is another episode of the Best of Enemies. Excuse me.
Yeah, you was
The
about to say
draft
the
is
Big
over.
Game Jays. It's all good.
Yeah,
You
I was
know,
about to say
it's
because I'm
all
still
good, big
reading your
dog.
name. Well, it turned into the Cowboys show. The Eagles stepped into this thing with like 11 picks, walked out of it with only 5. Obviously, some more players on the back end, but. How you been, James? How was the whole experience of the draft for you? How do you feel after the long weekend that we had?
Tired, a little exhausted. Like I was working like all the time, and then I was running back and then doing a show. Like Friday, I worked like 11 hours. Came straight home and did all the rounds with my dogs. Shout out to Boss Cowboys, the OC, and Law Nation. We went hard every one rounds 1 through 7. We didn't cut any corners with it. And I had a great time with it. To keep it real, we can't wait to get that thing going on next year to upgrade, improve. We saw we wanted to improve on, but I had a great time talking with the fellas, seeing all the draft the way they did because we didn't just do it as in nothing but Cowboys. We went through pick by pick, and we're talking about each player that even if a player didn't get drafted by Dallas, we were seeing those players that they were getting drafted by those teams. I was looking at the CBS board. I think they have a really good board because they give the instant breakdown and the grade of the player, and then you can see them through the team. So I always like looking at that information and reading about that, see who was really going on, because we're not just playing NFC East opponents, you're playing opponents around the league. So you still want to get a beat on who they drafted to see, how they're going to compete against your team. So I loved it and had a great time with it.
Facts. Yeah, and this was a wild draft. I think that, we've spoken about it a lot on this show, especially about how Trayvon Walker was running up boards. He seemed like a guy that was definitely going to get picked higher than we thought early in this process. But to see him go number 1 overall, and then you see some of these guys that were slipping. Obviously, Kyle Hamilton slipped all the way to number 15 or 14, excuse me, I think. So, there was a lot of different things in this draft that happened that I don't think anybody could really have foreseen. Obviously, the Eagles and Eagles fan base are excited about the draft they had, even though it was half the picks that we started with. So it was
Right.
it was a crazy draft. It was a really crazy draft time. I think for both teams, I think that you guys checked a lot of the boxes that you were talking about throughout this show's lifespan, the things you wanted to see them kind of fit. If you look at the Giants literally picked 11 different positions, so they felt like they had to fill everything, and that's what they tried to do. So I don't know. It was a crazy draft. I loved it though. I really did. It was really interesting, especially being able to really know a lot of these guys, and some of these guys you didn't. Cole Strange was a guy that I was taking in the 6th, 7th round on our mock draft, saying that I liked him and thought he was something that we could build upon. He went in the 1st round. So before we get into like pick by pick, let's start with kind of like, who do you think was the biggest steal of the draft? Who do you think was kind of the biggest overdraft? Give me kind of your superlatives of this draft so far.
And you talking about with the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if I'm looking at hold on. If I'm looking at who was I would say our surprise draft pick would be Tyler Smith, 24. Now the Cowboys said they had him on their board and he was within their 14 to 16 picks that they were talking about they would draft in the 1st round. They had really loved him, that his name had been brought up, but it wasn't getting a lot of steam because obviously Kenyon Green, Zion Johnson, those names were continually being talked about, possibly Charles Cross. They were talking about moving up. I never believed that. But when his name started catching steam the last, day or so, it really could happen when you saw Zion Johnson, Kenyon Green off the board. And since then, honestly, I didn't think he would probably get drafted at that point. But when you guys drafted Jordan Davis, and then the Giants had drafted Kayvon Thibodeau, I think the Cowboys felt in their hearts that we need to go ahead and get this offensive lineman right now, because they're already trying to establish their middle. The Washington Commanders already have a good front. So you saw teams attacking defense to match against Cowboys probably front line or offense as well. So I think the Cowboys said, let's go ahead and get this guy. He is very developmental, not the greatest hands. His feet aren't great, but he's nasty. He's somebody that goes hard. He's from the Dallas area. I said that means a lot. If you're from that area and you get drafted by that team, it becomes personal. So I don't think he would want to let the team down. And he's 6'5". He's 330 pounds. So hopefully Joe Philbin, who I feel like has got the big eye on him, from me at least, to develop this kid, because I haven't seen a lot of development so far. So that's where I'm a little bit, we got to see. But the talent is there. But for a 24th pick, with all those kind of developmental kind of negatives, I would say, that was like that was a little bit of the head scratcher. And then I would say one of my favorite picks. I had a few favorite picks though. Uh, One of my favorite picks though was Jalen Tolbert in the third round. I thought he was great value. Remember, me and you had talked about him. I actually
Yeah,
drafted
I knew
him
you were
in
gonna
my
like that
mock,
one.
one of my mocks when we had one of our
Yeah,
first few mocks. So I really liked Jalen Tolbert, man. Going out to South Alabama and getting to see him live, and seeing his body type and structure, got me excited, because like that's what the Cowboys need. And he can get past the defense. I think he can complement CD Lamb and Michael Gallup very well. I think it gives a good, exciting receiving core. I said it reminded me of a player that Dallas had named Jalen Guyton. He's with the Chargers right now. They actually cut him. Same size, same kind of body type, but I think Jalen Tolbert gets a little bit more loose. And he's mature and he's smart. And I like that in that player. And one other player that I did like in our draft was John Ridgeway. Remember, we talked about him from
yeah,
Arkansas. I think I drafted him in my
absolutely.
last mock draft that we did. Um, and Brandon Tucker, who was training him, he trains Cowboys players, he trains all these. He trained Trayvon Walker, the number one draft pick. So he trains these guys out there. So he had John Ridgeway, and he said all of the guys there, the players, were calling him the unicorn. Because they didn't see somebody at 6'5", 335 pounds that could do a lot of things he can do. So I got a little more excited. So I'm like, hey, when the draft was going on, I'm like, this dude's still available, and get him in that fifth. Cowboys scooped him. I love his attitude. He said he's trying to come in there and snap necks and cash checks. He's trying to buzz heads. I like that type of noise. You know what I'm saying? We need some nastiness in there. So, um, one of the maybe. So when I look at it, Joe, I see guys that I don't know if they're developmental, kind of maybe surprise Cowboys fans, but I think they're good football players. You feel me?
Yeah,
And I think that's where I'm like, okay, I'm not mad at the draft. You know what I'm saying? Because when I look at the players, I'm like, these are pretty good players. You know what I'm saying? So let's see how they fit going into the NFL and the competition on the roster now. I think Sam Williams, one last thing, I'm sorry, he was
I
maybe
know
a
you're
little
good.
bit of a reach. I had him fourth round. I did a video on him, and I said fourth round. And when I looked at a lot of the publications, they said third or fourth round. But I drafted him when I did my last personal mock draft, Joe. I had him with the second round. I picked him in the second round. So people were like, man, you picked him too early. No, I picked him how Dallas was going to pick him. And that's what happened. Dallas picked him in the second round because I felt like they were going to think that he wasn't going to last to round three, and they liked him. That was their guy. So when they saw him in that second round, they're thinking he ain't gonna last until 88. You feel me, Joe? Somebody's gonna scoop him. So let's get him now. So that's what I was thinking. You feel me? And they got him.
Yeah,
But I don't think, Joe, I like his talent, but you had Nick Benito there. I know he's smaller than him. That's like 30-pound difference. But, because he can be an every down guy with that size. He's 265 pounds. But I still got to make
Benito
sure
Dog.
his mind is there. You feel me? He was a basketball player his whole life. Played football senior year because his mom told him. Then he quit a little bit, but his mom pushed him to keep playing. Feel me? He said, I'm doing this for my family. Feel me? I look at those things, Joe. You know what I'm saying? Like, is he gonna be doing this when it gets rough? Or he gonna want to quit? You know what I'm saying, dog? So,
Facts.
and I see don't see a little stiffness. So we'll see. I like him, but I don't like him. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I can kind of mirror that. And shout out to Sky High with the $5 super chat saying thank you for the content, one of the best out here doing it. I'm sure he's talking
Yes,
about you,
sir.
James, and I agree. I agree. He definitely is. That's why we best of enemies. That's why we friends. You know
Yes,
what I'm
sir.
saying? Because we basically the same thing, just with different teams. But either way, I can kind of mirror that, to be honest with you, because if you look at the Eagles, we'll start, I guess, with the most surprising pick is going to be in the second round for us, and that's going to be Cam Jurgens. Look, I think that Jurgens was a good
Mm-hmm.
player coming into
Mm-hmm.
this draft. I think I did draft him in a couple mocks, maybe on the show, maybe not, but it was always way later than that, right? It was always later than the second
Mm-hmm.
round, but I kind of think that it goes on the same, and it's a fact because they did say that Jason Kelsey was, a pivotal in us drafting this guy because Jason Kelsey said over the last couple years he's looked at the centers with the team and with the franchise, and they use him as kind of the measuring stick, and they tell hey, what do you think about this guy? And he said this is the closest he's seen to himself out of all the guys that he's seen. So I think that held a lot of weight. And in the same regard that you guys like Sam Williams, I think they were like, we'd rather reach on, a Cam Jurgens and just
Mm-hmm.
take him right now. And his name's
Mm-hmm.
like Beef Jerky. Like he brings his own beef jerky to practice. So I just feel like
Mm-hmm.
he's probably literally, and he's undersized. Like when you really start looking into him, you can see why he's, a favorite of Jason Kelsey. Would I sit here and say that, oh, I knew that was going to happen? Definitely not. I didn't think they would reach that far. But I think he's a guy they saw maybe going, round 3, and they didn't think they had a chance. Obviously, we gave up a lot of our draft picks. But so that was probably the most surprising as far as where they went. But when you kind of break it down and you start actually looking at it, it makes a little bit more sense, especially when you have a player kind of, putting in a vote for him like that. Our best pick, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. It's got to be Nakobe Dean.
Yeah.
It's got to be Nakobe Dean. I mean, we'll see what happens with his injury. They're saying that it's like a strained pec or something like that. I don't think that that's going to be that big of a deal. He's a little bit undersized. I'll say that straight up, but I think that he's played through it. He's shown that he could play through it. So I don't know. I don't see the red flags like a lot of people do. I've always said that I think Nakobe Dean was very good. I had him as the second guy behind Devin Lloyd, who I really liked. So I'm not mad at this. To be able to get him in the third round, that's probably the steal of the draft. Like outside of just, the Eagles, that might end up being the steal of the draft. So that would be a lot. And knowing you guys like them makes it even better, right? That adds that extra little, salt and pepper to it. So I love it. But Jordan Davis is obviously probably the flashy.
I mean, how you feel about it?
Talk about it.
How you feel about Jordan Davis? Because I mean, you mocked him out how many drafts, and then you said you made the mistake, you didn't get him, and then I mean, it was when we were watching the draft fall, and we seen him not get taken. We were all talking on the show. Philadelphia is they're getting him. We just knew they were going to get him because it was just logical. Fletcher Cox, you signed him only for the 1 year. We know what he has done with the organization. We know how much of a dog he is. Hey, I don't like you Eagles. I don't like you guys at all, but I respect Fletcher Cox. He's been a problem for a very long time. And when y'all released him, I actually said, hey, Dallas looked for him. I don't ever want Eagles players that's how much I don't like y'all. I don't want your players coming over here from free agency. I don't want you guys at all. But Fletcher Cox, if he got released and they could get him, yeah, that's one player I would have got. So I thought that was a big coup, the way you could have him going out with another guy coming in, possibly to be the successor of him. But that's a big shoes to fill because, as I said, Fletcher Cox has been a dog at Philly.
I love Jordan Davis, the player. I didn't really love the trade. That's really kind of what threw me off a little bit. Don't get me wrong. If he becomes what we all think he could most likely possibly become, I guess we can say, I think that it would be well worth it. And then you add in the factor that we don't have a safety, right? So Kyle Hamilton falling that far too would have been a dream. But beggars really can't be choosers. I think you got one of the top 10 players in this draft. Maybe I would have wanted a Kyle Hamilton a little bit more because it's harder for us to find players like that. Like we just don't draft safeties a lot. We don't draft them well when we do. So it's really hard it was really hard for me to see that and be like, oh, we traded up to pass up on Kyle Hamilton. But when you break it down more, you look at the player you're getting, you can't be upset about it. I'm really not mad about Jordan Davis being on this team. I'm excited to see him on this team. And I think, I think it was Rome that hit me up and was like, you guys just spent your first round pick on a guy that's going to be a rotational piece, which may be true. It probably will be true. I don't see him necessarily starting over Fletch this year or Hargrave, but sometimes you got to go with the future. So I wasn't mad about the pick at all. It was a little weird that we go into this draft, like I said, with 10 picks, you walk out with only 5 different draft picks. And then, you got AJ Brown. So that's a huge add in this. I don't know. I love this draft. I really do. Like, I can nitpick.
Are you talking yourself into it, dog? Because I keep on hearing you say, I love this draft. Are you talking yourself into I mean, how do you feel about that AJ Brown? Because that's 4 years, $100 million. He's getting almost 25 per. That he better come in and show it.
He better do his damn job. I mean, it seems like he has a friendship with Hurts. It seems like I just don't want this all to be tied to Hurts. Hurts is. I think he's the person that has the most pressure on him now.
Oh, he got all kind of pressure now.
Yeah.
So, like, pressure central. Like, well, you got Smith. You just traded for AJ Brown. You still got Quez. I mean, you got some decent receivers over there. So yeah, the fire and the light is on. It's kind of like with David Tua. You have Tyreek Hill coming over there. They got receivers galore now. Now they're saying you ain't got no excuses. We need to see what you really are. You got the weapons, and if you can't do it with these guys, then we probably gonna have to move on. And like I said, I feel like this is the eval. This is the real eval year. The last year was okay, we saw what you can do, but now we're gonna get you some weapons. So there ain't gonna be no excuses for you if you ain't doing it now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because now at least Eagles fans are like there. You know what I'm saying? Like last year, you couldn't say he was getting evaluated. It was like, oh, don't hate on him, give him time. But this year, it is what it is. Like, bro, we put a lot around you. Our money's not going to go up after next year. Like, after next year, our money does go up a lot because we don't have a lot of people on long-term extensions. But after that, it goes right back to normal because you're going to have to sign a lot of these people back, and now it's time is of the essence. When you have somebody like A.J. Brown, when you have somebody like Devontae Smith, those contracts are only going to get more expensive as time goes on, especially a Devontae Smith. Obviously, A.J. Brown got his bag now, but a Quez Watkins, if he becomes something, you're going to have to pay him. Are you just going to keep on recycling these running backs, or are you going to pay Miles Sanders? There's a lot of question marks, especially on that offense. So if Jalen Hurts can't go out there and show massive improvement, you have to move on because you have so much invested everywhere else. In 3 or 4 years, you're going to have to pay a couple of people on that defense now. If you go next year and you sign better play, it's a ticking time bomb. So we really just entered and then not to mention after this year, you're going to probably have to talk to Jalen about his contract. So there's so much, and I hope nothing but the best for him, obviously, because it's my team. But this is going to be a tough situation, man. If he thought last year was tough, this is going to be really tough. But it was a great draft. I think that Howie Roseman, for the first time, I made a video about it right after and like jokingly said, like, it's a historic draft for Howie because he didn't really piss off any Eagles fans. Like usually we're livid after day one. So, I mean, it was beautiful. I can nitpick, but it was beautiful. I really do love everything we got. The guys in the later rounds, we'll see if they even see some time. The tight end we got might see some time. He reminds me a lot of like a Zach Ertz light. Like, I'm not going to say he's going to be Zach Ertz in the league, but like his skill set kind of reminds me of what Zach Ertz was. They're about the same size and everything. So who knows? But the first 3 picks and obviously signing A.J. Brown, I give my team an A++. I could not be happier.
Okay, I don't know if I'm gonna give you an A++. I'm not gonna do all that. I would definitely give y'all. We're getting Jordan Davis. That was big because, as I said, people saying he's a 2-down guy right now and he's probably not going to start, but I don't care. We were wanting him really bad, and I think if he would have came close to probably maybe 20, he was still there, I think Dallas would have probably contemplated going after him because he would really, I think, change the defense at the end. And then you already know how I feel about Nakobe Dean, dog. When they didn't get him in the first round, and then he was there in the second round. And they got Sam Williams. I was frustrated, and because everybody's talking about the pec injury and he didn't run, and I said maybe that was more his agent, but I think this dude is was come in and start right now, be your middle linebacker of the future. Let your other linebackers just kind of. Michael Parsons was tweeting like, "Don't be the medicals is trash. Don't be believing them." You know what I'm saying? So I believe he was wanting Dean too, because that guy would have really changed our defense. I feel, in my opinion, I feel like he's that type of player. I feel like he's that type of leader. And I know the measurables, and that's the only reason why I stopped talking about him. It wasn't because I didn't like him anymore. It's because I stopped talking about him because the Cowboys weren't going to get him, and you saw what happened. And I think that's what frustrated me, because they all look at length and how long you are. If you look at the players that they drafted, they always get the certain type of player that are long arms, and that doesn't always make you a great player, because you have these certain measurables. Doesn't mean you're always going to be good. So I feel like they missed out on that one. So y'all definitely got that. Dallas actually liked Cam Jurgens from Nebraska, because we've been having issues up front with Tyler Biadasz. They got Merritt Farinaut from Nebraska. He played a little bit of good. He played a little bit against you. I think he started against you guys in the last game of the year, and he actually looked pretty good. I know it was against your backups, but I still liked his feet. I liked the way he pushed. I liked his strength. So then I'm thinking those two are going to compete. So they had him in on their 30 visits. So I'm thinking that they possibly were going to draft him, but they weren't going to go that early. But like you said, the way they reached, in my opinion, for Sam Williams, so that's where y'all did with Cam Jurgens, because possibly that was your guy. You possibly didn't want to lose him. Somebody probably would have snuck and took him out of nowhere. So it's best we just go ahead and get him now and just go ahead and develop him and see where we can take it. So I'll give y'all a solid A. It'll be a low A because y'all got rid of a lot of them picks that y'all started with.
That's true.
But
That's
the players that you got, I definitely feel like they're going to be some good players in your system.
Yeah, no, that's very true. That's very fair. I mean, look, to me, it really does come down to the Eagles made a clarified statement here, and that's something that I don't think that Eagles fans or the Eagles brass has done in a long time. Like, we've been saying that we want multiple defenses. We want to be able to, run a 3-4, 4-3, change it up on the fly and do different things defensively. But we didn't have the players for that. Depending on what happens moving forward with Nakobe Dean, he can be an outside edge rushing guy. He can be a lot of things for you. You look at Jordan Davis, he can play in the 3-4 for you. If you can, start to polish him up a little bit more with his hand technique, he might end up being a guy that ends up being your, nose tackle on 3-4s and 4. There's so many things that you can do with this. And then you even look at, I think his name is Kyron Johnson is his name. He was a guy that's like athletic out the wazoo.
I like him. He's just undersized.
Yeah. Exactly. I didn't know him like that prior to this draft. I'm not going to sit here and act like,
he got picked, bro.
He does. He does everything. I've seen him with his hands in the dirt. I've seen him standing up. So I really do like that kid. And I'm not saying that he's going to be, the next nothing, but you see.
No, he's going to be a player for you. I'm not even trying to cut you off on that, but I like him. He's undersized, but man, he's just one of those dudes that goes hard like a million. Like, I love those type of players. He goes hard like every single play. You want them type of players on your team. And I think the only thing that reason why he got the way he was as far as drafting, if he was taller, he'd be up there with the conversation with these other top guys if he had the height, but he's just short, and that was his problem. But he got every bit of power. You can move him in multiple spots. You can send him off the edge on pass rushing downs. I bet you he'd be a sneaky guy and get around 4 sacks and you don't even know it.
Yeah, he's he reminds me of old boy from the Arizona Cardinals, Dennis Gardeck. He had you remember when he had that crazy stretch of games? He had like 8 sacks in like 5 games. But he was like 6 foot tall, but he was just sneaky. Like you say, he just found his way into the backfield. So he kind of reminds me of this guy. I know probably nobody's going to know who the heck that is. But it is what it is. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. We got 50 people in here. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe.
We got a nice little crowd up in here. See, Joe?
Yeah,
see what
I love
you did?
it,
You see how you built the big dog? You built it all lovely and great. Look at you, man.
Hey, this is us, man. This is family. We brought family around. That's what I'm saying. Who got the mashed potatoes? Or no, what do you don't bring mashed potatoes to a cookout. I don't know. I haven't been to
Hell
a cookout.
no. Who the hell's bringing mashed potatoes to a damn cookout?
Yeah,
Bro?
I grew up in the
some
wrong part
ribs,
of town.
some
Bro.
chicken, some burgers,
Exactly.
some hot dogs, something like that. That's what me. I'm bringing the meat to the table. You feel me? I'm
Yeah,
bringing
we're
the
gonna have
meat
to get
because
a
that's what
sign
the
up sheet.
Cowboys do. You feel me? And
We're gonna
we're gonna bring the pain to you again, Joe. We got 3 games on you. We're gonna get you again. It's gonna be 5 in a row, dog.
It's gonna be a beautiful season. I really let's talk.
I'm excited.
Bit. And guys, yeah, drop questions in the chat. Well, obviously now we're not doing.
Ask some questions, y'all. Ask some questions, man.
We'll definitely interact a little bit more than we were before. We got a little. We were just so into those mock drafts, and it's crazy because we were right on some things, but the way this draft ended up was crazy. But how do you feel about the NFC East as a whole's mock draft? Like, how do you think Washington did? I think the Giants did pretty darn well. I can't hate.
I like what the Giants. Let me pull up Washington because I don't remember all their picks. Let me pull up Washington. Hold on. But I'm a matter of fact, I want to pull up all those guys. I like what the Giants did. They got Kayvon Thibodeau. They got Evan Neal. They addressed those first 2 needs, and I think they got another pass rusher, if I'm not mistaken. And then they got Darian Beavers. I believe they got him later. And I wanted Darian Beavers when he was dropping to the 4th or 5th round. I was like, get Darian Beavers. He's 6'4", 250. That's what the Giants do. If you always see how the Giants draft, their MO is always their front. You know what I mean? They had to get that offensive line together. So they had a bookend in Thomas on the left side. So for them to get Neal, you put him on the right. That's where you can finally maybe say, hey, they might be doing something. They're going to come at you with defensive ends. They already got Dexter Lawrence. They got Williams, who I like. They had the one kid, Ojalare, from last year. He was a rookie. He had 8 sacks. So now you get Kayvon on the opposite side. Now the Giants are saying we're feeling a little good about our pass rush. That's what we like. You got Darian Beavers, like I said, in your linebacking core. You feel me? You still have. We don't know what's going to happen with Bradbury. But I like that. Did you pull up Washington for me, dog?
Pull it up.
Pull up Washington. Yeah, pull up Washington. You can show that on the show, can't you? Put up the draft picks. Yep. Because I know they hey, and you know what's crazy, Joe? Remember when we had your boy on here from Washington, and remember what he said? We were all talking about off air before that we actually did our mock draft, how they were going to get out of that 11th pick, and they did just what we talked about, how they were going to trade that pick and gather picks because they couldn't stand pat at just those 6 picks, and they immediately did what we talked about they were going to do.
Yeah, and they got a lot for it. They got a good haul for it.
I like Jahan Dotson. I remember him. I know they got Dotson. That's a good pickup with Scary Terry.
I shared the wrong one. Can you tell I don't do business meetings well? You know what I'm saying? I'm over here sharing the wrong screen. Like, oops, y'all. Oops. All right, yeah. So here we go. Can you see that well? Let me get.
Hold on. Yeah, there we go. Ooh. Okay. They got Chris Paul. I like that pick.
Yeah. They got my boy Jahan Dotson too. That kind of hurt my heart.
Mm-hmm. I like him.
It sucks to see Jahan Dotson go to a rival, I should say, but he's good. He's definitely
He was
good.
my 3rd receiver out of my top 5.
I like him. He's definitely good.
Mathis is a guy to keep your eye on too. Sam Howell.
Say his first name.
That's a good pick.
That's an interesting pick. Sam Howell was a very interesting pick.
In the 5th, I think that's good.
Yeah, but Carson Wentz is mad as hell right now. Sam Howell
probably, but you know what? Stop being soft.
It's true. It's true. It's about
you know what though?
Some accountability.
Your guy said it as well. He said they didn't want to get no quarterback early, so he get all soft and sensitive. So maybe that's why they waited to the 5th. But at the end of the day, bro, we still gonna get him because you didn't work in Philly, you didn't work in Indianapolis. So we ain't putting all our marbles, even though we just took this money and saying you just gonna be the guy. Because what if you don't? No, we're gonna always have cover our tracks. That's smart. That's smart business.
I agree. And I really do feel like I don't know. He is so lucky he's got even another job. Like the way that things happened out there in Jacksonville, I just think is crazy. I just don't know why anybody would trade for him, especially Washington, when you're set up in a draft like this that you could end up with a quarterback late that could possibly be a
Quarterbacks is
decent
whacked up
starter.
this year, though, Joe.
But I mean, Sam Ellinger. I mean, not Sam Ellinger. Excuse me, Sam, because I'm thinking Sam Ellinger from the Colts. Because this happened last year with Sam Ellinger.
Right.
But Sam Howell with the. I think he's not that far off from what you're getting from Carson Wentz. I don't think Carson, like mentally, I just don't think he's there anymore. I just don't. Maybe that's
he may not, but he got more talent than Sam Howell, bro. Yeah, he does.
I don't know.
You just talking about the mind, bro. Now, be honest. So when he came with your squad, you didn't like Carson Wentz because if that brain was together, you wouldn't say not one thing about Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I think that the injury played a bigger factor in like his regression than I think I even gave attention to, because I think that.
But he was never the leader though. That got exposed.
Yeah, yeah. He was a terrible mentally, but like mentally he was terrible. But I also don't think that physically he's done anything outstanding as a passer. Maybe and maybe this is just the perfect storm of everything. He's got a good wide receiving core out there. A lot of guys he could just throw the ball deep to. Maybe this is what he needed. You know what I'm saying? But
let's answer some questions, man, because I see some questions.
Yeah.
And y'all saying them cow turds, man. Y'all gotta get some new words, bro. Like that's real elementary. You gotta get that better. You gotta get better with that. Saying cow turds had a bad draft. No, we didn't. We had a pretty decent draft. We had a B draft for sure. And this is not even because I'm a Cowboys fan. Looking from the opposite side of it, we had a pretty decent draft. But I'm gonna ask this question because I want you to start off with the answer, Joe. It's the question from Drew, who said cow turds, who now has the best receiving core in the NFC East. He says Eagles, no question. Yeah, because Amari Cooper's gone, but Washington's going to give you a run. Jahan Dotson is not a joke, and Terry McLaurin is a very legit receiver.
Yeah, I would probably go with Washington if I'm being 100% honest. But I mean, that's just because I'm kind of factoring the
Logan Thomas is a nice tight end too.
Yeah, exactly. They have a good pair of running backs. I know that's not what we're asking, but they have a lot. What he say?
Rome in there.
Here we go. Here we go.
He said Cowboys.
I would say Washington right now, but the Eagles are close. The Eagles are a close second. I think the Cowboys and Eagles are right there together. We just got to figure out, what.
I don't know. We got CeeDee Lamb. If you're saying Michael Gallup, you're only saying because he's hurt, but Michael Gallup is a legit number 2 receiver. Jalen Tolbert is a legit draft pick, and CeeDee Lamb is a legit. They be trying to hate on CeeDee, but what he did last year, the only thing they hate on CeeDee is like talking about, he couldn't get off. Yes, he could. When he was playing on the opposite side and he wasn't in the slot, he was doing damage. He had almost had 80 catches for 1,100 yards, dog. Like in the first 2 years, already set records in Dallas. You feel me? Like, we got to understand, like, bro, like the expectation might just be way high because he's wearing the 88. But, bro, he is not disappointed in his first 2 years. They talk about drops. Jamar Chase had 10 drops. There's a lot of top receivers that had drops. Don't sit there and say like CeeDee Lamb all of a sudden is not a great or a very good player heading to greatness. If he continues to do what he's supposed to do as far as getting better with route running, he's going to see a lot of different things, but that Amari Cooper's not there. But I'm tired of people trying to down CeeDee Lamb like he ain't no legit number 1 out there.
Look, if I had to put my money on it, I would say Washington's going to probably have the most production out of their wide receiving core. We're not a passing team. We're not a passing team. So if we're ranking it like that, it would probably be us third, if we're being honest. But just pure talent, I think that we're probably second. I think that Devontae Smith is very good, but he's not as proven as a Terry McLaurin. And I think that actually.
Okay, so Devontae Smith is better than CeeDee?
I think AJ Brown's right there with CeeDee. I won't say he's better, but I think he's right there.
AJ Brown's a dog. He a dog. You know what I mean?
And then I would take Devontae over Gallup.
I would take Devontae over Gallup. I would do that.
And then who's your third guy? Because we got Pascal. I mean, You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Jalen Tolbert
And
will have to
Quez.
slide it. We got James Washington. Mm,
That's why I think we probably haven't like I say it's slight. I don't think that we're like blowing you guys out the water as far as
and
talent,
then with the
but I
tight
think
end,
that
Dalton Schultz is good, but I like your tight ends better than ours.
Dallas Goddard, yeah, he's a dog. Dallas
I
Goddard's a
like I
dog.
like
So
Goddard
I would even take us over Washington as far as scale wise when I really break it down like that. If you go, 1, 2,
because
3.
y'all got AJ Brown. I feel like maybe that pushed y'all. I say that would make y'all the tops. If I'm just looking at it from a side right there, because AJ Brown is nice, dog. He is. Um, I like Devontae Smith. Um, he's a good player. I like Devontae Smith. Even with the small frame, I think I like him better because he is small and he wants to prove everybody that he's a dog. You feel me? Um, I like Quez better than Pascal. I like Quez. I think he's a good player.
Yeah, I
Um,
love Quez Watkins. We just had his
but I
trainer
think
on the other
we
day.
really got to see Jalen Tolbert because I think y'all really going to be pleasantly surprised. I think Jalen Tolbert going to surprise a lot of people in that with that draft pick. I think a lot of people are underestimating that draft pick. Like you said, Washington got Dotson, but y'all really need to take your eyes on Jalen Tolbert because he is going to be a very good player. Watch him. Watch what I tell you.
Yeah, I think we said this a lot on this draft on this show as well. Like this draft was about who they could be more so than who they are right now. Like there weren't a lot of like premier top end guys going to go in and give you 10, give you a crazy year this year. I don't think you have those top end talents, but you have a lot of guys that'll probably play for your team for 10 years, and you need those guys. You need those glue guys. So it might take a year. I think it was you that said it on your Twitter, but you were like, fans are just going to have to be patient with these
Mm-hmm.
picks. Like you're just going to have to let things kind of play out. This more than any other year, I feel like is following that golden rule of um, you can't really judge a draft class until 3 years later. This is like
Mm-hmm.
the perfect example of why that rule's set because this is a class that's really going to have to figure out what they're going to give at the NFL level. So, I mean, I like it. Do you think? I know it's far too early. It's far too early, but being an NFL fan, looking at the NFC East, who do you think realistically got the most better? And do you think anybody like totally threw this draft? Do you think? I think everybody in the NFC East honestly did well in this draft, but do you think that there's somebody that kind of maybe pushed themselves to a different level with this draft from the NFC East?
No, I don't think anybody pushed themselves to a next level. I don't see that in this draft. I think this was a solid draft for each team. I think each team met a lot of their needs. I think it was solid. We got good depth talent across the board on each one of their drafts. Um, you know, so I don't think it pushed anybody like, ooh, this is going to be the new team of the NFC East now. I still feel like Dallas, we already had a squad. They came right back from 12-5. You didn't, yes, you lost Amari Cooper, Randy Gregory, but for the players that you did get in the draft, they could lessen that blow for that. So, and the talent on the defense wasn't really lost. You feel me? You lost Randy Gregory. They pretty much re signed everybody back on defense and you added to it. You know what I mean? It was really the offense with Amari Cooper. You lost to Connor Williams. You weren't crying about that one. But I think Amari Cooper was the biggest blow. So for what Dallas did in the draft, you feel like, hey, they're still going to be competing to win the East again. And then when I look at Philadelphia, you were competing against Dallas. Y'all added some players that's going to make y'all more formidable. So it's going to be a battle. I still, in my opinion, I'm not saying this because I'm a homer. I still feel like Dallas is the best team in the East. The draft that we had, I still feel like keeps us at the top of the East, and everybody still got to try to climb and get us. But I do feel like the Giants helped themselves. But I don't feel like they had that extraordinary draft where all of a sudden they go from 4 wins to 8 or 9 wins. I don't see they had that type of draft. But I feel like they definitely are like, hey, let's keep them on the radar now. But I feel like it's still, if I'm being honest, it's going to be Dallas and then Washington, and you guys are going to be fighting for it because I do feel like Carson Wentz does help the Washington Commanders win some more games because he has their best talent at quarterback than they had in a long time. That does mean something. Joe froze.
Oh, I'm back. That was weird. Like my whole thing like froze. And I was like, wait.
I was like,
I was like,
what?
did he freeze or
What's
did I
going on
freeze?
here,
That was my
bro?
fault. But the last thing I heard was that you were saying that Carson Wentz adds a lot to them being their coach. And he does. He does. I mean, look, I've said this before, and I think we said it when we had George on here. This is probably Carson Wentz's best wide receiving core that he's had throughout his career. I mean, the Eagles really didn't give him anything. And the Colts, they gave him a really old, Hilton. I can't even remember his first name. T.Y. Hilton. I don't know why I wanted to say Tyreek. But old T.Y. Hilton. So he didn't really have anything there. You're getting a Scary Terry. You're getting a Logan Thomas. You're getting a really, I won't say really great. I think you had a better one with the Colts and probably maybe the Eagles early on. But you're getting a really good offensive line. You're getting a really good defense. You're getting a coach that's going to try and put these guys in the right position. And you're getting a whole bunch of wide receivers that are going to allow you to just swing the ball down the field because that's what he wants to do. He just wants to sling it down the field. So I agree. He adds a lot more than people probably think. But I think this year is all about the quarterback in the NFC East. I think even down to the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, maybe
Dak is still the best quarterback in NFC East. Can we not still say that?
He definitely is. But my thing is, I think that you guys now have more questions about him moving forward. And I think the big question right now is looking at how he's going to perform with a lesser than staff around him. So, a roster, I should say. So you look at that, I think you guys have a question there. Obviously, the Eagles' question at quarterback is blatant, obviously. And same can be said with the Commanders. Same can be said with the Giants. You guys have the most solidified situation right now. The best now. But I think we all have questions about this future. But I do want to talk about the undrafted free agents a little bit as well, because you guys went crazy in undrafted free agency. You guys,
we do. We don't play around.
You guys did your thing. Actually, Raphael here went to school at Marquise Bell. Remember when I told you one of my subscribers knew Marquise Bell, and that's why I was like, I'm going to start taking him in a couple of my drafts. But Raphael is the one that actually went to school with him. So him going to the Cowboys, I'm sure, made his day. But I want to go over how do you feel about your undrafted free agency? I think that there was a strong class of undrafted free agents out there, and you guys took advantage of it.
I'm gonna say that one thing about the Dallas Cowboys scouting team is they are very good after the draft, especially with undrafted free agency. They are good. I think Will McClay is one of the best in the business. We all scream that he should get the GM title. He does GM things. They just won't let him run it like that. But hey, he's cool where he's at. So I guess it is what it is. But they always do good in undrafted free. Undrafted free agents are something that is a staple in Dallas Cowboy land, and we love it. Like you said, getting Marquise Bell, I mocked him in the 7th. I got an extra 7th pick in my last mock draft before the day before the draft. I did one, and I had Marquise Bell going to us. When we were looking at our last pick in the 6th round, I kept on saying, pick Marquise Bell. So he was on the radar, and I know they were probably thinking, well, if nobody touches him, we're getting him immediately right after, the draft, and it happened just like that. So that was a great pickup. Alex Lindstrom, center from Boston College, was another good pickup, I thought, from the Cowboys. Dontario Drummond, wide receiver from Ole Miss. Malik Davis, running back from Florida. Isaac Taylor Stewart, cornerback from USC. They really, really devil in. Like, that's what keeps Dallas afloat. If you want me to keep it real, Joe, if we look at why Dallas is good and competing every year, is because of that scouting team and Will McClay. Because if we didn't have him, bro, we'd be bottom of the barrel every single year.
Yeah, I think that the Eagles, I'm trying not to sound like a homer. Maybe it's just because it's literally the day after and I'm just still excited about everything. But I think we killed undrafted free agency. I really do. I'm trying to pull up the graphic I have here of all the actual names. But being able to picking up 2 quarterbacks, Carson Strong and EJ Perry, that's going to be very interesting. EJ Perry, I don't know. He's more like Jalen Hurts. Carson Strong is kind of the polar opposite. He's got the rocket arm, maybe not the athleticism there, but obviously can't stay healthy either. But Kennedy Brooks, I think, is a very, very slept on pickup. Kennedy Brooks is a bruiser. Watching some of his film is just, he's not, I don't think that he's an amazing, I don't think he's, oh my God, this kid's going to be the next this or that. But he can be like a Jordan Howard, that guy that, just gets hit and keeps on chugging. And I loved watching some of his tape. So I would love to see what he can do in our system. Britton Covey, don't know much about him. Not going to lie, some of the tape that I saw on him there wasn't much out there. I don't know if, if people in the comments know, let me know what y'all know. Obviously, we picked up 2 guards. Nothing crazy. I do like Josh Sills. Noah Ellis was somebody that I didn't ever mock draft pick him, pick him in my mock draft, but he was always a good pickup. Yeah, he was always someone that was there in the 7th round, 6th round that you're looking at, and it was a possibility. So for them to be able to pick him up, that was big. This is where it gets good for Philadelphia Eagle fans, and Philadelphia Eagle fans have to understand throwing draft picks at problems don't always solve them. Just because we would have taken a guy in the 2nd or the 3rd round or reached on a safety or a cornerback, don't think that, don't think that it would have solved the problem. It really wouldn't have. Shout out to Drew with $2.
Drew going ham. Drew going ham over here. Drew going ham over here, man. You feel me? I've been checking Drew out. Him and they've been going ham.
I love it.
This whole time I've been sitting there just laughing. Y'all funny, man. Y'all keep me rolling. How much y'all hate Dallas? Is this a funny fact? Like I don't like you Eagles, but I don't that the energy that y'all be having against us it's funny, man. It's funny.
Stand y'all, man. We can't stand y'all. It's beautiful though.
Y'all really can't stand us, dog. Like
I will say though, and you could probably
agree y'all that bad.
Yeah, come on now.
Yeah,
you could probably agree with this.
Yeah, we did.
We did.
Yeah, we did beat you that
bad. 1 year.
Yeah, we did beat you that bad. One year.
Yeah, you have like 3 games in a row.
It's 3 years.
Right?
I mean, it's 3 games.
3 games.
3 games. But we've been smacking y'all.
3 games.
We've been smacking y'all.
Hey, streaks are meant to be broken. That's right.
Okay, because before that streak, we were smacking y'all 4 in a row with Jason Garrett. Y'all remember that too?
Yeah, I got.
Okay.
I got no heart. Okay. Y'all get banners.
See,
for that.
I don't want to start. I'll be nice.
You guys get banners for that. But I will say one thing, man. I've been in, and you could probably agree here. I've been in a lot of content creators, like lives that they've had, like the enemy on, or different teams, and the chats are so toxic. I love how at least respectful our chat keeps it within each other. You know what I'm saying? Like they go at each other's necks, but it's hilarious and it's like all in fun. I love it.
Right. Right.
But no, what I was saying was, look, the Eagles. This is where you should have a little bit of faith in who is scouting these undrafted guys, because Reed Blankenship will start there. He's a safety that, again, not somebody that I picked in any of my mocks, but he was always there 7th, 6th, 5th round. Some people were even talking about. So he's somebody that maybe he comes in here and makes an instant impact. We obviously know how, light in the tail we are at safety. So I think that was a huge pickup. Josh Joby is a huge pickup. Josh Joby was one guy that I think I talked you into getting.
You the one that told me about him. Like I had mocked him a couple of times. I actually started looking at him. I didn't really even look at the cornerback or the safety position too much this year. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you get that up. Make sure you say that about Jay Carter. Get that super chat.
Shout out to Jay Carter. Shout out to Jay Carter with the $2 super chat to spread some nonsense on it. No,
say it.
He said BGJ, they butt hurt. They butt still hurting from Dallas last year. Yeah, we got our tails pushed in. Yeah. It is what it is. We got our butts
was like 40 against y'all last year, big dog.
It was ugly. But you know what? We grew from it, and we're better people.
I hope so. I hope so.
But no, I love Josh Joby, man. Josh Joby didn't.
Yeah,
he didn't produce.
That was great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he didn't produce like I wanted him to, or like I thought he would going into this year. But that was a great pick, man. That was a great pickup. Hopefully he becomes something. Now, one guy, I don't know much about Josh Blackwell, but we picked him up too. So, I have to say that. But Mario Goodrich just got paid. He just got over $230,000 to be an undrafted free agent, which I believe is the highest amount any undrafted free agent has ever gotten. So shout out to him. we'll see what happens with him. Like now, obviously, everybody loves him because they think that he's going to be something great. So hop on the train now. But I don't know much about him. I really don't. So that's somebody that I'm going to have to do some research on. I'm going to probably do that today. But interesting. I'll say that they definitely did not hit on anybody in the draft at the secondary position, but they definitely did not waste any time trying to resolve it. So I think we both hit home runs. I don't know how much you guys love PFF or hate PFF, but PFF
I love
had
PFF.
both of us. Yeah, I like their analytics side of it. They have some weird opinions sometimes, but
Yeah,
I like their
they have a
analytics
lot
side
of
of it.
weird opinions for real. For real. I'm
They
like, you
do.
guys are the nerdiest guys. Have you ever even played football? You're so analytical, but I like that analytical side. You feel me?
I do.
Like I love the football side of it, but I do love how they break down those stats to the very last compound. You feel me? I'm a stats guy as well, so I love deviling into it, Joe. So I like what they bring to the table. But you know what I'm saying? You know, I like you've been saying about yours. I like our draft. And it's kind of more like it's a wait and see. It's not like, oh, this draft is just nasty. But it is, I see a lot of developmental things that can really happen. And when your team was already kind of stacked, I'm not saying we were stacked, but they're not rebuilding. Dallas is not rebuilding. You know what I mean? They're retooling, if anything. I think, like I said, across the board, everybody had a pretty good draft, and we'll see. I think the East got better, and that's good for the NFL. You don't want the NFC East being bad. You know what I mean? You want the NFC East because it's the major New York, Philly, Dallas, Washington. Those are major cities, dog. Everybody pays attention to that East. You know what I mean? So hey, you hear what he just said? He said, I'm a Giants fan, but I hate the Eagles more than the Cowboys. Shout out to you, big dog. Shout out to you,
That's
Blue
crazy.
City Empire Sports. Shout out to you, dog.
That's
Everybody
crazy.
hate them
I'm
Eagles, man.
unsubscribing. I think I'm subscribed to his channel. I'm unsubscribing now. He messed up, man. It's cool. It's cool. We've been doing a lot of winning as of late. I think that this was, now it gets boring. I mean, not to get sad here, not to, we're having a great show, having fun, but now it's gonna we're stretching. Right now, you're waiting a couple
Yep.
months for football to come back.
Yep.
So this was
Yep.
the big, kind of send off into that waiting period. But there's a lot that can still happen. Obviously, free
Free
agency is
agency
still a
after
thing
free
for the
agency.
Eagles.
Now let me
Yeah,
ask you this,
exactly.
Joe. Do y'all think y'all will be? Because I know Dallas will be active in free agency because this is what Dallas does. This is what Stephen Jones does. This is their MO. They always wait to that third wave after the draft because more guys are going to get released. So they always call the draft after the draft. I keep on saying the Cowboys really need to target Anthony Barr from Minnesota, linebacker. I think he would be a great addition. They had him in their pre-draft room in 2014. He's 30 years old. He still, I think, had like 70 tackles. I think he still got a little bit of tread on the tires. And Dallas Neal still need linebackers, even though they drafted a couple. They weren't high. They were like, we drafted Damone Clark. I love that pick at LSU, but he had the spinal surgery. This could be a redshirt season. You feel what I'm saying? They got the other kid, Harper, from Oklahoma State in the 6th round, but we still don't know. You know what I mean? He's undersized, but he's fast, but he's a 6th round pick, Joe. You know what I mean? So I think they need to look at that. So I think that's where free agency is going to still come into play with us. And I want to ask you, do you think you guys will touch any more free agency on there?
Tyrann Mathieu, Honey
Mm.
Badger, come to Philly, man. If look, honestly, even if we don't get Tyrann Mathieu, I do think that we have to go out there and find somebody. A guy, I don't know if he got picked up. I might be late on this. I don't think he did though. Terrell Edmonds, that used to play for the Steelers. I think he's like 25. I would love to get him on this team. He will be probably cheap. We need a safety. We have to address the
Hmm.
safety spot. Obviously the Tyrann Mathieu signing would be amazing. I think that would cap off an amazing offseason for the Eagles so far. Uh, but we have to. We have to be into this. And this is our MO as well. We like to, this is around the time that we got guys like Steven Nelson, that we got guys like, the linebacker formerly known as Eric Wilson. Now I just try to forget his name on live shows. But this is when we get those 1 year, $5 million deals that we try to, push into starting positions. Shout out to iShine 101 with the $5 super chat saying, "What's up, fellas? Saints drafted Alante Taylor in the 2nd round safety. Honey Badger will be an Eagle in 2 weeks, guaranteed. LOL, fly Eagles fly." I can only hope. See, That's
We'll
really
see.
where the Eagles' hopes have to lie right now, is that we can pull
Mhm.
a honey badger.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved the Honey Badger. Since LSU, he's always been a player that I've always loved. I loved his intensity, the way he's played, his attitude. I mean, that's why he's the Honey Badger. I mean, that's the perfect name. If you have any nicknames for a player, that's the perfect name for him. He is a Honey
Yeah.
Badger for real. He acts just like them jokers. You know what I'm saying? So, we'll see. I hope y'all don't get him. You know what I mean? Because that's just
Yeah,
going to be a
facts.
little bit more difficulty for the Cowboys. But just to let Michael and Drew know, yes, y'all have been to your one championship, and I said this time and time again, Joe, that y'all were going to live off that one Super Bowl for 3,552 years. You were going to talk about your one NFC championship for 7,785 years. Okay, so we'll give you your hand claps because you finally got there and won it, because you've been there a few more times and you choked. See, I didn't want to do this, but I got to give at least 1 minute dedicated right now, Joe, to say that y'all been to championships, a lot of them, NFC championships, and you choked. You've been to the Super Bowl and you choked. You won
Facts.
one. So when I hear a lot of Eagles fans saying the choke word, you really got to go back and look at your own history and see there's been a lot of choking going on over there too.
Hey, but the last 30 years have been good for Eagles family. So I mean,
It
it
has,
is what
but
it
you
is. It
only
is what it
got
is.
one chip in them 30
Facts.
years.
But things are gonna change, James. This is it.
I
This
hear
is it.
you.
You know, this is it.
I hear
This is.
you.
I mean, next year we're laden with picks. We have nothing but picks. If we need to go get another quarterback, we have a bunch of wide receivers now. Something Eagles haven't had in decades. I can't think the
Yeah.
last time we had two wide receivers, and I could realistically say, well, I can't remember the last time you would even, you know, realistically ask me if I think my wide receiving core is the
Y'all
best
had
in the
Jeremy
NFC East.
Maclin and y'all had Deshaun Jackson. They were pretty
And that was
good.
it. That was a decade ago. That was
I
that was a
know, but
long
I'm just
time
saying,
ago.
but you
That's
saying you
sad.
haven't had it. Well, maybe you're saying you haven't had it a long time, but
Yeah,
they were
no, more.
very
I mean, yeah,
formidable.
just in
You
a
know what I'm
long
saying? They
time.
were.
And even
I
before
didn't
then,
like those two guys, especially Deshaun Jackson. I can't stand him to this day, just because that dude used to just give Dallas problems. I couldn't stand him. Even when he go to any other team, he I just can't stand him.
I love Deshaun Jackson. He's talking about he'll come back for like a elite quarterback, but I think he's done. I love Deshaun Jackson, man. He was just fun. I think
Uh,
when you're not a team that wins every year, you just kind of become it becomes like I like this player because he represents us well. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what he was. He just had that swag to him. Everybody loved it.
Hey, listen, I like your chat up in here. I want to interact with your chat today. You know what I'm saying? Drew said,
Facts.
would I trade our last 26 years for the last four of your guys? Um, yeah, I'm not hating on that. See, you can't get me, Drew. I'm not that Cowboys guy. You know what I'm saying? You can't bump against me and me be like, oh no, no. Yeah, I definitely would have loved to have a Super Bowl. Um, because it's been a long time. You feel me? 26 years. We're bad over here in Cowboy land. Let me not mistake that. We're frustrated. I am one of the main people that puts his hands up and calls Stephen Baby Nudge Jones. I am one of the more critical people of our Cowboys organization because of what the front office does. They play the patient game because they can, Joe, because there's nobody over there pushing them and telling them, hey, we got to get this done, because they run everything. So they can take their time through the draft. Don't ever try to go after free agents. And it gets frustrating for Cowboys fans because, yes, you like the way they draft because you have a draft guru, I feel like, in Will McClay. But you take gambles on players you never seen come into the NFL. So you don't want to take the gamble on free agency when you got guys who played 4 years who are proven that could really take you over the hump. You saw when y'all got T.O., he was proven. What did he do? Y'all had a good team. He made y'all got to the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? You can have one player that literally can take you over the hump. It really can happen like that. So if you're saying that, oh, we can do that in the draft, so why wouldn't you do it in free agency? Because you're cheap and you always want to go the cheap route. You don't never want to pay anybody. So that's why you kind of spin the draft to us, because it's the cheaper route. But you're not winning games and win games when it matters with these guys. So that's where the frustration is. So when Eagles fans tell me something like that, yeah, I definitely would. But if we're talking about reality says, yeah, Dak is 1-3 in the playoffs. He has to get better. But you know what? Other things have let him down too. The whole team let him down. The coaches let him down. And so it hasn't just been Dak Prescott. But at the end of the day, we ain't talking about choking in the playoffs. We talking about one-on-one matchups because I'm on here with Joe. So if we talking Philly, Dallas been smacking y'all. So at the end of the day, that he may not been doing it in the playoffs, but he damn sure been doing it against them Eagles.
Facts, and things are going to change. Things are going to change. You know what I'm saying? He was flushed with talent around him, but now the tables have turned.
Yeah.
Now Jalen got
I like this though, Joe, because just what you said, I like it. I want Dak to be able to have this fire. You lost Amari Cooper. I want to see him take another step. See, that's the thing. I'm over here looking at Dak like you need to take another step and another step in your game. You have to do that because I was critical with this passing toward the end of the year and saying you got to make better passes. You can't be gunshot. You got to throw it deep. You got to show why you got paid this money because this is what you said you were. You got paid the money. You're a top 5 paid quarterback. So, yes, you have to bring it home. Yes, you have to make these plays in the playoff game. Yes, you have to continue to make plays in the big games. When everything else falls around you, you have to take the Cowboys above and win those games. That's what the pressure is, and that's what the money is. So, yes, I am with all that, and I feel like that needs to take another level. And I like how you maybe not have everybody, but that's going to be your franchise quarterback can make do with lesser talents because that's what franchise quarterbacks do, in my opinion.
Facts. So before we end the show, I want to ask you. This is way too early to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. Do you think that the Cowboys are still going to be winning the NFC East next year?
Oh yes. And this is not even because I'm a Cowboys fan. I just feel like when I look at the teams, right, across the board, I feel like, Washington's going to be better. I feel like they're going to get about 9 wins and, they're going to be crawling against you guys. I feel like you guys are going to be better. But I still, like you've been saying, Joe, Jalen Hurts is your key, bro. Jalen Hurts is your key. I feel like you got better on defense. You know what I mean? I feel like you got a good team. You had a good team. Your defense is a little aged, but you had good players. Like I said, I like Devontae Smith. I like what y'all are bringing, and y'all added on the offensive line. But the key to me is Jalen Hurts. And since y'all still have that question mark, I can't put y'all ahead of Dallas because we have a solidified position at quarterback, and our quarterback can win games. He has proven he can win the East. If you look at his NFC East record, Joe, it's very good. I don't think he has more than 7 NFC East losses. So Dak has proven that he can win games in the East, and we have a proven position. And yes, we lost Amari Cooper, but we didn't lose a plethora of talent. They did re-sign a lot of the players. I think this was another good draft. You still have guys that are coming from our 20 and 21 draft. So I feel like we are still the team to beat at this point because we are more solid at the quarterback position right now, in my opinion. I feel like you guys are second, but the reason why is it's still an unknown with Jalen Hurts. He's got to take that next step.
See, I'll say this. I think that I do believe Jalen Hurts has a big part in the success of this team, but I think that it goes more on this coaching staff. You now have a lot of players that you've asked for. You have a lot of players that you want, that you feel fit this system and what you want to do with this system. And defensively, especially, it's time to scheme some stuff up. Last year was a lot of just go out there, play some man, play some zone here and there, and let's see what happens. And no adjustments were made. So I do believe, and I know that it is, because it's, can't really argue, you can't really refute that this is a big year for Jalen Hurts as far as his career goes. But I also believe that the onus has to be on this coaching staff to get the most out of these young guys. You have no excuses now. We know that we can run the ball on most, if not all, NFL teams. We know we can do that. So you have to now learn how to implement these players that you have at A.J. Brown, who's going to be open because you have such a good running game. Devontae Smith now that's going to be able to feed off having someone that's consistent on the other opposite side of him. So, I think that I feel like you were able to make last year's team a 500, a little bit over 500 team. I expect to be the same, if not a little bit better. And I don't think anybody in the NFC East really got that much better. So, and I think if anything, a lot of teams fell down a little bit. I think we are the only team that honestly made a step above. I think you guys did
So,
well.
do you think you win in the East, or we end up winning the East,
Oh,
Joe?
we're winning the
Right
East.
now.
I think we're winning the East. We're winning the East.
See, I can't
I
agree
think
with
we're
that. I
winning
think
the East.
I don't see that, Joe. I think
You just look
you
at
may
history,
split
man.
this year. You may split this year. We're definitely gonna beat you. You may split this year, but I just don't see y'all winning the East, man. Jalen Hurts still to me is an unknown, and I feel like that is the key right there. And I feel like in that big game with Dallas, I feel like right now we kind of got your number, and we'll see. We got a running game too. I know Ezekiel Elliott had the injuries, but he wasn't playing bad once he got healthy. And I think Tony Pollard in his contract year, I think they're going to try to get him the ball. And I think what he can bring to the table, I think our running game is good. We'll see. The offensive line is a little bit in flux. We got some question marks on there, but we got talent. I think they did add up talent. I said this is a critical year, Joe, for our offensive line coach and Joe Philbin. You know what I'm saying? But I still feel like Cowboys are the team to beat. We're going to win the East again. I still feel like we'll definitely get at least 10 wins. It's going to be a dog fight in the East, I believe, this year. I feel like you guys have gotten better, but at the end of the day, I feel like Dallas is still going to capture the East. And I do feel like you guys get into the playoffs again, and Washington will be fighting in there too. But I see Dallas and the Eagles getting into the playoffs again, but I think this is the first time in over 20 years you're going to get a back-to-back NFC East champion, and it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys.
And that's the beautiful thing about this show, man. That's my brother, but at the same time, it's my best enemy, man. You know what I'm saying? That's why. Sometimes he just makes wrong decisions, but it's okay. It's okay. I still accept him. I still accept him. But this was a lot of fun, James. I think we should reverse it now, right? So we had Ruben on first, then we had George. Maybe I'll hit up George, have him come back on. Let's get some
Right.
insight on how he
Yes.
feels Washington
Yes.
did, and then we'll have Ruben back on, get
Yes.
some insight on how he feels. And
Yes.
then we'll get one of you boys. We'll get Rome back on here because Rome
Yeah,
always
get
want to talk
Rome.
that
Yeah,
talk.
Rome. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. We
so
definitely
we'll have
need
to get
Rome
him
back
back
in
on.
here. I love it when Rome comes in here. He goes hard for the Cowboys banner. You feel
He
me?
does.
I love that. I love that energy he be bringing because he be fighting for it. Like I remember when I was a little bit younger, I was like just wild with it. Like anybody say anything about Dallas, I was attacking you like a watchdog. Like for real, I was going hard on you. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I don't care what you were saying, but I'm gonna keep it real. Like once you get really into the media, when I went to media school and got to see the background of everything and seeing the inside things, it's like okay, I look at it more from an analytical side, and honestly I like it better because I just felt like I felt like Joe, really, I was an ignorant Cowboys fan. I was an ignorant Cowboys fan. I was just blind about just Dallas, Dallas, Dallas. So I like this better where I can look at it more of an analytical side. It gives me more peace now when I watch the team because it does. It really does. This gives me more peace now when I watch the football team.
Yeah, and when you see it, you basically see it coming because you
Mm-hmm.
start looking at those signs that you didn't
Mm-hmm.
look at when you're
Yep.
just going off emotion.
Yep. Yep.
When you follow the money trail, when you follow
Yep.
the repeated actions by
Yep.
your front office, you're starting to just be like, well, I knew this was going to happen. It sucks.
Right.
Like this year, I will say, this year I was very surprised by how he Roseman. A lot of the things
Right.
that he did, I wasn't expecting. I mean, the trades, that's who he is. That's
Right.
whatever. But the contracts that he gave out, the guys that he was able to sign, the calculated, you know what I'm saying, approach that he took this year, but still being a little risky. I didn't really expect that. So
I like
all
that.
power to him. Yeah.
I see. That's the thing. That's the thing, Joe. That's what we're lacking on our end. See, I don't get frustrated. I don't get frustrated with aggressiveness. I don't get frustrated with risk taking because you have to take risks. I mean, these guys on oil. Didn't you have to take risks to get your business? You had to take major risks to run that oil business or whatever business you're running. There's going to be risk. And I just feel like too many times now, Stephen Jones is playing it safe. He doesn't take that risk. Your guy just took a risk. Hey, AJ Brown, yeah, it's a little bit of money, but we're trying to win a Super Bowl now. So I need to get somebody in here that's trying to make this team or make my quarterback better to get us over this hump. I like that. And you don't have to get 4 or 5 people every year. And I feel like Stephen Jones feels like, oh, I ain't trying to get 4. You can just get one, bro. Like you don't have to do it, but jump out there and be a little risky and not always sitting there like, oh, we're just going to wait through the draft and we're just going to hope these players develop, and then we're just going to bank on that, because if they don't, then you're still waiting another year for the draft again. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not getting nobody in free agency, bro. So I don't mind risk taking. So what your GM is doing over there, I like that type of stuff. That's cool with me. I have never hated on him, even when Jerry was going after players and spending all that money. I wasn't mad, because I was like, he's trying. He's not sitting back and saying, hey, we're not going to stand pat. Yeah, he may send a bad contract to Roy Williams or Joey Galloway, but he was trying. He was trying to get them players to get us over the hump. You feel me? He wasn't staying pat, and that's what Stephen Jones does, dog. He's the polar opposite of him. And even though Jerry frustrates me with his talking, I at least always liked his aggressiveness. Stephen Jones is the polar opposite, and it's frustrating to me, and I think to a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans.
Yeah, I'll say this. I've went through a lot of different emotions. I think, even just in our shows, like I'll remove my own live streams. Just when we've talked about the draft in the offseason, I've gone from like, I don't know what the heck's going on, I'm getting tired of this, to, oh, wow, we're doing stuff, to now looking at it in retrospect, and I'm looking at the full book, right, the full picture of what happened. I'm happy. I'm excited. I think that we can go nowhere but up. I think last year was really tough, but I think we can go nowhere but up. The Eagles didn't do anything that's going to screw them over this year or in the immediate future. So I'm excited. I feel like it's finally, kind of calmed down so we can finally chill. But shout out to Drew with the $2 super chat. Probably
read that.
The best way to end this off right here, But he said, respect to the Kings, keep it going, go Birds. I appreciate that.
Not the Go Birds. Not the Go Birds. Not the Go Birds part, but we definitely respect you, Drew, for the Kings. Yeah, see, that's what I like, dog. That's why I do like your chat, because your chat will go ham, but they still respectful. We know we're just having a good time with it. We like the good trash talking back and forth, but it's all respect. And that's what I like about. That's why I like being in your chat, bro. I don't like being in other Eagles chats, bro, because they real reckless, in other people's chats because they reckless with it, and it gets too personal. And I don't like that kind of stuff, because it's not like that. But I love being up in here when we do this, because number one, we banging, bro. We ain't had this many in the chat ever. You see how this stuff is growing, and I really love that, because there's respect. We can talk good trash, but there's respect, healthy respect on each side, and that's what I love about our show, man. And I'm glad we did this, man. I'm glad that we talked about this and we finally did it, and we need to just continue to let this thing grow, bro, because it's growing the way we want. And I like how we have this. The chat is growing. I love how we do this, so let's keep this popping, bro.
Yes, sir. So yeah, like we said, man, we're gonna we do this every week. Next week we're gonna bring on Washington content creator George Carmi, good friend of mine, good friend of James. Now we had a good talk prior to the draft. It'll be interesting to see how he feels. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. 60 people still in there. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. Go check out James' work on YouTube. Obviously, our Twitter handles are under our name. But other than that, y'all know what it is, man. We about to get the heck out of here. This is, I'm Joe Castro. That's James. And we are the best of enemies. Peace!
We're brothers. We're happy and we're singing and we're colored.